Sir Barnabas Quade, the Bloody Bloke of the Royal Scone, Part 1. One of Great Britain's most splendid heroes is a man by the name of Sir Barnabas Quade. The tale begins on a fine summer night in a cottage right outside of London, Reading to be exact. Sir Barnabas Quade was fast asleep on his sofa when he started thrashing around. The bloke was having a nightmare about the Revolutionary War, hearing these words sung. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? The noise sounded to him as if somebody was scraping a chalkboard. Barnabas woke up in a pool of sweat, shaking at the thought of his beloved country losing the war. Relax, he told himself. It was just a bad dream. Jesus Christ is with me. Up out of the bed, he took off his gym jams, buckled up his trousers, and started drinking a cup of tea. To fully understand this story, we have to go back to our hero's origin. Sir Barnabas Quade was born in a small town near Manchester, England called West Didsbury in the year 2000. His mum was gobsmacked because the little baby was 18 pounds when he came out of her womb. Lady Eleanor Quade knew in a jiffy that her son was destined to be a hero for the honor of Great Britain. As a child growing up, Barnabas excelled at all the esteemed sports of his country, and he developed an intense passion for his motherland. The little chap's favorite sports to play were cricket, badminton, netball, and horseback riding. His three best chums were with him all the time: Elliot, Oliver, and Stevie Boy. They would sit down by Rusty Creek and dream of their future serving the country in Her Majesty's Armed Forces. Stevie Boy was very slow. Many children would call him retarded. The chaps from the village would bully him and call him names like Muppet and Nitwit. Barnabas and the crew would make quite a fuss and stick up for Stevie Boy whenever anyone tried to mess with him. One day, a group of naughty children pushed Stevie Boy to the ground and started socking him. Barnabas was alone across the road, munching on a biscuit, when he saw this unfold. He ran across and fought the four boys, yelling, "You dreadful chicken shits, leave my buddy alone and get out of here with your rubbish." By the time young Quade was done with them, they were battered and crying for their mums. He helped Stevie Boy off the ground and brought him back to his house to get patched. As they were walking, Barnabas told Stevie Boy, "You fancy yourself quite a tough lad to get socked that many times." Stevie Boy chuckled and replied, "I reckon I would have been socked a wee bit more if you weren't there to help. Thanks, Barney." On Barnabas's 17th birthday, his mum, Lady Eleanor Quade, took him to his favorite restaurant in London, the Smoking Goat. As he was eating his stew with mushy peas, he looked across the street and saw a beautiful girl sitting on the bench. He thought to himself, "If I don't talk to her now, I will regret it my whole life." Barnabas told his mum, "I'll be right back, just going outside for a whiff of fresh air." He walked across the street and nervously approached the girl. "Hi, I'm come over to meet you. My name is Barnabas." She looked down and blushed, then said, "My name is Penelope Seymour. It's splendid to meet you." Barnabas was shocked. He had heard of this lovely lass before. "Are you Penelope Seymour, the daughter of the Duke of Winchester?" Penelope had been hoping he wouldn't recognize her. She didn't like the attention she got from her family's royalty. "Yes, that is me. I am come to London today for Prince Cornwall's royal wedding." "It's an honor to meet you, my lady. Would you like to get tea sometime?" Penelope was giddy. She had fancied Sir Barnabas Quade since the minute she laid eyes on him. "Sure, I'd love to. That would be marvelous." They exchanged some more banter. Penelope gave him her phone number, and he told her he had to get back to his mum. 2 years later, Sir Barnabas Quade was being sent off to serve his motherland in Her Majesty's Armed Forces. On the day he was set to leave, Lady Eleanor was crying and saying, "Oh, my baby boy, I'm so proud of you." She hugged him and said farewell, and as he walked out the door, he remembered all the great memories he had with his chums from West Didsbury. As he departed north, he was playing the national anthem of the motherland, "God Save the Queen," in his headphones. His assignment was to go to North Yorkshire to join the 1st Battalion Yorkshire Regiment and complete his training, known as the Common Military Syllabus. But when he arrived, he met Brigadier Mulligan. The commander was so stunned by Barnabas's skills that he told him he would love for Barnabas to serve in Britain's most elite fighting squad, the Musket Corps. The group was formed right after the motherland lost the Revolutionary War. 12 men took a royal oath to only ever use muskets as their weapons and only ever dress in the garb of the Queen's Guards. The red jacket, the black pants, the puffy hat, and the musket became their code that they would live and die by for the nobility of Her Majesty the Queen. The leader of this elite fighting squad was known as Nutcracker, and he had a passionate hatred for the Americans after their victory in the war. He vowed to bring glory to the motherland in the name of the Queen, even if it would cost the blood of a Yankee. The original Musket Corps stayed in America for years after the war ended, beating up public officials with billy clubs and stealing tea from the Yankees. The lads blamed Benjamin Franklin the most for their loss in the war and held true that he was the one who started the chaos. One night, 3 members of the Musket Corps broke into Benjamin Franklin's house, tied him up, and beat him with their billy clubs. After the beating, Nutcracker told Ben, "You dirty Yankee, I will never forget how you dishonored the motherland," then smacked him in the face with the back of his musket. At the time Barnabas was invited to join the Musket Corps, there were 16 men that took the oath and were brought into the Brotherhood. Brigadier Mulligan told Barnabas, "Listen, lad, you are destined to do great things for the honor of your country's royalty. I have never seen a bloke with as much passion for Great Britain as you. Let me train you myself and induct you into the Musket Corps, instead of joining here with the Yorkshire Regiment." Sir Barnabus Quade knew that joining the Musket Corps was the highest prestige of the British Army. He hesitated because he knew this meant he wouldn't see his sweetheart Penelope for a long stretch. But Brigadier Mulligan told him this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and he would be a noodle to turn it down. People thought Mulligan had supernatural powers due to his immense skill. He was said to be able to wield his musket like a lightsaber, read the enemy's minds, and influence their actions by his mere thoughts. Brigadier Mulligan was considered an expert-level seer, even though Queen Elizabeth II would not promote him in the force. She knew he was too powerful and feared his strength. During Barnabas's days training to join the squadron, a group of greasy hooligans ambushed him on his way back from the pub. They threw him in the back of the wagon, but he whipped out his musket and leaped across the bluff to take on 10 men at once. He beat them to the ground fiercely and left the scene without a scratch. After that night, he realized the power of his musket. When he first joined the group, he thought the musket was outdated and would be overpowered by the weapons of modern times. It takes very long to reload and isn't nearly as powerful as any modern gun. But after that incident dealing with the scoundrels, he realized that there is more to the musket than meets the eye. The weapon is more than a weapon. It is a symbol of the motherland, and the nobility of Great Britain flows through it. A year later, Barnabas completed the Musket Regiment and was initiated into Britain's most vicious fighting force. The ceremony took place at Buckingham Palace, where Barnabas was bestowed one of the highest honors in the country, meeting Queen Elizabeth II. In his mind, she was the greatest person in the world, and he treasured her almost as much as his own mum. As he entered the ceremonial hall in his huge bearskin hat and red coat, musket in hand, he entered the moment he had dreamed of since he was a wee lad. he saw the queen sitting high up on her throne, and she looked like a shriveled up prune, but to Sir Barnabas Quade, she looked like an angel. The queen barked across the hall, "State your name, peasant." And our hero replied, "My queen, 'tis an honor to meet you. My name is Sir Barnabas Quade." Queen Elizabeth II waved Barnabas over to her throne and ushered him to kneel down once he arrived. She would not even look at him, but instead looked straight towards the ceiling and held out her right hand for him to kiss. Barnabas kissed the queen's hand, and then looked down and kissed his musket. "I now declare you a member of the Musket Corps, crown jewel of my armed forces," barked the queen. The hall erupted in applause. Hundreds of people were celebrating the honor given to young Barnabas, and he felt 3 tears roll down his cheeks. At the time he was made a member of the Musket Corps, he was only 19 years of age. Never in his wildest dreams did he imagine the Queen, Her Majesty, would give him this nobility. Another reason Barnabas was so giddy, he knew that joining the Musket Corps means serving 1 year protecting Buckingham Palace. After that he could go home to see his family, friends, and Penelope. After the ceremony, the Queen spoke with Sir Barnabas Quade privately in her royal suite. She told him, "This means you are a servant of the throne now, peasant. You must serve with dignity and do everything I ask. If I asked if I could beat you with this meter stick right now, what would you say?" Barnabas replied, "I would do anything for you, my queen." She pulled out the meter stick, walked over to him, and started lashing him in the face with it over 20 times. By the time she was done, he was bleeding and bruised. "This is what it means to serve the throne. You must make sacrifices for the glory of the motherland, Great Britain." He was stunned at what had just happened, but he knew the seriousness of serving Her Majesty. She dismissed him, and he went home to his flat in East London for the night. When Barnabas woke up the next morning to report for protection duty at Buckingham Palace, he was gleeful with excitement. He grabbed his musket, put on his garb, and rushed out the door without doing anything else, except taking a shite in his lavatory. When he arrived at the royal palace, the groundskeeper instructed him how to guard the inner lawn. Groundskeeper Dolan was a kind and gentle old man who showed Sir Barnabas Quade the respect he deserved. He said, "Listen, chap, it is your first day here and I want to make sure you get off to a good start. Hold your musket in hand and blast anything that might be a threat to the Queen." Barnabas hesitantly replied, "I would do anything for the Queen, even chop off my left testicle." Dolan looked at him with ease and said, "Splendid, you understand what this duty means. Now run along and patrol." As Sir Barnabas Quade slowly marched along the inner walls of the royal palace, he realized this would be a very boring job. Day in and day out, he occupied his time by imagining himself as a hero. But one day, Barnabas noticed something peculiar on the lawn. There was rustling in the Queen's garden patch. It looked as if the plants were merely shaking, but there was no wind. Barnabas went over to inspect the displeasure and suddenly spotted a stray vicious dog. There was blood in his eyes, and he looked as if he wanted to eat a man's arm from the shoulder down. Our hero pulled out his musket and fired on the rabies-infested dog. The shot landed perfectly, right between the dog's eyes. He went over to check the pulse, but the creature was dead on impact. When citizens started talking of this courageous deed, Queen Elizabeth II heard of what the Musket member did to protect her royalty. Word spread quickly throughout London, and the Queen was forced to honor Sir Barnabas with an installation of privilege. A state banquet was called at Buckingham Palace, and all the nobles of Great Britain were summoned to attend. At the banquet, 3,000 people were gathered in the Great Hall. The Queen ushered Barnabas to the front and told him, "You have done a great service to this country, and you deserve to be honored for it. Kneel down." Sir Quade kneeled on the walkway and put his head down. "I will grant you total honoration for what you have done to protect me," said the Queen. "I will also declare you by royal decree to be a guard of this country's sanctity." Barnabas wept with tears of joy and shouted out to God in praise. Little did he know, the Queen was a devil.